Now, most of you would have heard of NDIS. It's obviously a scheme that's allowing for people that have a level of disability, and there's different levels within there, basically to provide housing for them. That can go from someone who is basically just at a level where they need to be checked on every day, which is the entry point there still, and then right up to something that's almost a hospital bed. One of the things that people are liking about this is there is fantastic cash flow. But the reality is what you've got to go and consider is the cash flow is only good because of the government rebates. And could they change? Now, if any of you have been around a little bit longer, you might have remembered the strategy or the scheme called NRAS, which was a housing solution for lower socioeconomic to provide cheaper housing for people that had issues with affordability. Now, in many cases, government had changes within their policy, especially at a state level, where that money wasn't forthcoming and people had to carry a negative cash flow asset, and the banks treated it as a negative gear property in a lower socioeconomic area, and it was very hard to get equity out of, very little capital growth. Now, NDIS will be different based on where it's built, but the reality is the price point to get an NDIS under $1 million is almost impossible in Brisbane now, so you're moving out to secondary areas in Greater Brisbane, and obviously that's the same when you go to cities like Melbourne and Sydney as well. So your price point is maximum, and the reality is everyone else is making money. The land developer has made money on the development, the builder has made money, the people managing the property have made money, the NDS providers have made money, the property management people are making money, and you're buying a property that's only positive cash flow because of the government rebates. And if that changes, what situation are you going to be in? Many people invested in NDIS recently, in recent years, chasing that top level of care because they had the highest return. Now, the reality is many of those type of properties came into the market, you got oversupplied, and then you had a very specific property that couldn't get rented out, and it couldn't get rented out to your normal market. So if you're going to look at that market, maybe consider the entry levels that are a little bit lower, where you don't get as much rebate, but you've got more people that can rent it, so you're not faced with vacancy. You do have deductions if it's a new property, but just remember, if something changes in the future and you don't get that rental return and offset from the government, you could be left holding a very expensive asset with a very high level of debt, and you might have to be putting in that extra money out of your own pocket. So just be careful.